Alright guys, so in this video I'm going to show you how to create a paper weaving, and what you need is a bigger rectangle sheet of paper plus strips of paper. I personally chose black, and then I have purple and yellow. You can choose any colors that you want. First, working on this sheet of paper, we need to do a hamburger fold. Hamburger fold is where you match up the skinny side to the other skinny side. This is hot dog. This is hamburger. Line up those corners, line up those edges. I like to slide my finger across, then fold out that crease. It's going to look something like a birthday card. Next, on the side that is open, not the side that is folded, side that is open, you're going to take your ruler and measure about a thumb's width and just draw a straight line. Because I'm using black paper, I'm going to use my black crayon. So thumbs width, a nice straight line. You can see that I'm using my helper hand to hold that ruler in place while I am drawing that line. Perfect. This line is your do not cross line. So when we're cutting, we want to make sure we do not cross this line. Next, depending on what color paper you're using, you're going to draw lines from that line you just drew, your do not cross line, to the folded edge of your paper. Do not draw to the sides. That means your paper weaving won't work. You can do straight lines, you can do diagonal lines, you can do curvy lines, as long as your lines do not cross. So I'm going to start with a straight one, and then I think I'm going to branch out and do somewhat diagonal lines. Notice how I have no lines going off of the edge. They're going from that do not cross line all the way down to the folded edge. Perfect. So there is my lines. Next, what I want to do is I want to cut from the bottom fold all the way up to the top, making sure I do not cross this line. It's the do not cross line. So very slowly, I am cutting all the way up. When I hit that line, I stop. Same on the next one. I am cutting along that line I drew, stopping when I hit that do not cross line. All the way up, stopping. Perfect. When my cuts are done, very gently open it up. You can see, since my lines were diagonal before, they kind of come out diagonal when I open up the card. Next, what I want to do is I want to start my weaving with my thin strips of paper. You can pick whatever color pattern you'd like to do, and you can also decide on where the strips go. So I'm going to do just a yellow-purple pattern, yellow-purple, yellow-purple. And with weaving, just like we did with yarn, we want to do under, over, under, over. So if I'm starting on this first one and I go under, the next one I want to go over, then under again, then over again, under again, over again. You can see it's going to start to make a checkerboard pattern, and yes, I have some extra dangling off the side. We're going to cut that off later, but this helps you move in the strips of paper. I'm going to switch to my new color. Now I'm doing the opposite of the color before. So since my purple is over here, over the black, I want to make sure that I go under next. So I'm going to start over, then go under. I'm over, under, over, under. If it does not look like a checkerboard, you probably did something wrong. So double check your over-unders. I'm going to continue weaving with these papers all the way across my black strip. Be very careful too, because some of these strips of paper might be pretty thin and they could rip very easily. You can see too, as I'm working, I am pushing all of my wefts, these strings that I'm putting in, all the way to the left side. So I'm pushing, 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 making sure they're very tight. You can also see where my lines were cut. So depending on how you cut those lines and drew those lines is how it'll look on the front side. So as you get to the end, you'll notice that your paper starts to get pretty tight. On your last strip, make sure it's a piece that will fit in there. So I like to measure before I go. It looks like my paper is just enough to fit in these cuts. So I'm gonna put in that last piece, really wiggling it in. I like to push up from the back if I'm struggling a little bit to get those papers in. Perfect. So naturally what happens too is the papers are gonna really hold each other in. So if you give it a good shake, it should be stuck in place. Now it is your artistic choice. If you would like to keep these on the top, you can. If you don't want to, you can just take a pair of scissors and trim them all off. So I'm going right along my base piece, trimming everything off so my colors all stay the same. Perfect. So like I mentioned before too, if it's not a checkerboard pattern, you probably have a strip of paper in the wrong spot. Double check to make sure your name is on here somewhere. I like to put mine on the back. And voila, you've completed your paper weaving.